Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Here we are. Our team, our podcast crew is together on your screen, in your ears, wherever you are. And we're so excited to be here with this crew. We were talking about this for months, and now it's finally happening. But maybe you want to know who we are, so let's introduce ourselves. Who wants to start?
I'll jump in. I'm Hanneke, and I'm joining you in this conversation all the way from beautiful South Africa as a lover of the arts. And my organization is called Kidz. And we are absolutely committed to child development and education through the arts, building children's important future competencies or 21st century skills by using a combination of drama, dance, and singing programs. And we are an embodiment of that word buzz. And I'm so happy to be here. Over to Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay, and I am calling in from Maine, USA. I'm originally from Scotland and live in a little town called Hope. It's a small hamlet where I started Sweet Tree Arts, and Sweet Tree is committed also to creativity and compassion and bringing community together through education and the arts, really in order to support mental health, well-being and learning. And it's a pretty magical place to be. So I feel very grateful to live where I do. How about you, Cherrelle?
Wonderful. Well, I'm in the arts too. My name is Cherrelle, and I'm currently working in Kenya, originally from the Netherlands. And my organization is called Cheza, which means playful in Swahili. And before I dive into what we do, you see that I'm a co-founder and a co-director. And that happened 6 years ago to me. So 6 years ago, I met my amazing co-founder, who was a professional dancer in Kenya. And he created this dance class for the children in his community. And 6 years ago, I visited one of his classes. And what I saw there was just so amazing. He was having a safe space, being a role model to the children in his community, and teaching these, what we now call 21st century skills, social and emotional skills, through dance and movement. Confidence, creativity, collaboration, and a lot of joy was happening in the class. So we started Cheza based on the little model that he had, and we thought, can we create a curriculum around social and emotional learning, skills that are essential for kids, especially in underserved communities? And can we do that through something very engaging, which is dance and movement? So that's what Cheza does. We are on a mission to use dance as a way of educating, healing, and empowering children from underserved communities currently operating in Kenya.
Thanks, Cherrelle. All right, and me. My name is Annette, and I am the founder and director of Flow School Norway. I'm in the middle of this whole process of starting a brand new school. And it all comes from everything that you girls have been saying, like creativity and social and emotional well-being. At Flow School, we say that well-being always comes first. So that is everything that we do, everything that we have created, all the documentation, all the words on paper, they all come from that point of view, that we think that well-being should always come first. That's just a tiny bit of everything that we do. And we met each other in Helsinki not so long ago, but it feels like we have known each other for such a long time. And I think the first time that we met each other, we were like, hey, yeah, let's hang out. Let's learn about each other. And yeah, let's connect. And not long after that, we already decided, let's create a podcast. The HundrED organization had no idea about that. Thank goodness they were just as enthusiastic as us about this idea of creating a podcast to connect people. And hello, Alex, you are the glue here, facilitator of everything, the organizer of HundrED Summit. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. So hello, everyone. For those of you who are just joining into HundrED for the first time, we're so happy to have you here. HundrED is an organization that's really based on the knowledge that the world has a lot of challenges, yes, but a lot of those answers and solutions are out there already. And you're looking at some of them right now if you're watching, or you're hearing their voices if you're just listening. So what we do at HundrED is we search for the most impactful and scalable innovations. And then my job, or a big part of my job, is to build communities to support their success. So we are a worldwide organization. I am originally from the US. I am greeting you today from Helsinki in Finland. I'm an education specialist at HundrED. But as I said, building these communities and these connections is really my biggest role. So the best way that we do that is through our Innovation Summit, where every year we invite everybody that we've selected to the HundrED Global Collection, as well as community members who aren't innovators selected yet, but are passionate about improving education for everyone. We bring them together and we hope to share stories, share inspiration, learn together, and challenge each other to really make things better for everyone else. So when the four of you all came to me to say, we want to start a podcast, I couldn't have been happier, because the reasons and motivations that we're going to talk about today are exactly right. And so we hope that through this podcast, we can bring the experience of the Innovation Summit to all of you. I couldn't be more excited. So Annette, back to you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Alex. And that is the summit. Like, let's start talking a little bit about the summit, because maybe if you've been there, you know the magic of the summit. But if you haven't been there, we would like to bring a little bit of that summit magic to your ears and eyes today, so that hopefully you get inspired to bring out your ideas, because your ideas truly matter. And everything that we have started also came from ideas. Years ago or recently, every single idea that you have as a listener, as a viewer, matters. So bring them out. Who wants to share a little bit about the magic of the summit?
I will again jump in to say, Annette and Lindsay and Cherrelle, how amazing it was to go to the other side of the world. Of course, with Alex as well. He was hosting us so warmly, so kindly, so generously, so authentically. So being held in that space by Alex and his team, first of all, a beautiful place like Helsinki, but then to immediately find kindred spirits. What a privilege. I phoned my husband probably on the first afternoon and I said to him, can you make a lifelong friend within a few hours? And just feeling immediately like as a person scratching away in our corners of the world, and then having an opportunity to be brought together to feel that everyone shares the same stories of how much we've given to our innovations, to our solutions, to our programs, the impact, how much we share those common goals, share stories, share tears, the laughter, the joys of it, a common ground of wanting to improve education, loving kids. And yes, a few of us here are from an arts background, but by no means does HundrED only support arts initiatives in education. It's an education platform for the 100 most innovative education solutions. But the one thing that did stand out to me, that was the biggest affirmation, was that there were so many art solutions on a stage like that. Where often in my life, in the last 13 years of doing Buzz, the way we have, I've often felt like I had to bang down doors and convince people of the importance of the arts in a way that's been quite hard. And to go to an international platform like that, and to see myself mirrored back in Cheza, in Sweet Tree Arts, Scenario, etc., so many other organizations that champion the arts as a solution, that signaled a change to me of where the arts are being reprioritized because of what it brings to education. But we'll go into that. But
you said something about the common goal. You can explain a little bit more about that, like the common goal. How did that feel and what is it actually?
Well, isn't the common goal for every human to flourish? For that, is that right, Alex? You need to say it.
That is so right.
Okay. And I think also what I feel the incredible power of HundrED is knowing for children to flourish, for our youth to flourish, our adults also have to flourish. And creating that energy and connection for us is such an important piece of that puzzle, because we have to work out of an assets-based place in order to do this incredibly difficult work. So if we're not surrounded by the energy and positivity that HundrED brings together, it's very, very difficult work. We're taking on, next to teachers and nurses are under the most trauma and stress of most professions. And that's why this conversation of well-being continues, because if we're not whole and supported, then we cannot do that work for our students. And I honestly feel, I would move mountains to get to a summit because of just the uplifting experience it brings to my practice. And then I bring it back and share the energy with my community. And it's pretty incredible. Honestly, I think it's the most curious and generous group of people that I've ever had the privilege to spend time with.
I want to echo that as well. And it's so interesting that this is the 100 Connected Minds, because I think I've struggled a lot in my journey with loneliness, thinking that I was the only one. And, fundraising is hard. And Lindsay, like you said, working in education and giving yourself and really trying to change a part of the world or changing the world is very difficult. But it can be a very lonely journey. And I didn't know that I needed 100. And when we got selected and I went to the conference, I immediately connected with you, but I connected with so many people that were in STEM, in solution frameworks, language apps in different dialects, project-based learning. I had so many conversations and every conversation was meaningful. And I realized I'm not doing this alone. I'm part of this bigger movement of innovators, of education nuts that are really trying to make the world a better place. And that gave me incredible amount of energy. So I now see that, I'm an education nut. And this is the people that I am connected to immediately. So connected is definitely the right word for the summit.
Yes, absolutely. And I remember sitting there and just listening to all these people, like their passion was just flowing, and it was like you could feel it in the whole room. And I was just crying, actually. So they were like, is it okay to cry? Because it felt a bit emotional to feel so seen and to feel so heard and to feel like I recognize that in you. And exactly what you said, like I feel less alone because it can be a lonely journey to be this person, a change maker. And you see so many opportunities and you get a lot of pushback and so many challenges as an innovator, because the word says like innovator, it's something new. It's something that people haven't heard about yet. And if that's an idea that you have in your heart, in your head, in your whole body, and you're just keeping it yours, it needs to be out in the world. And then the world wants to hear you. The summit people want to hear about you.
That's probably a good segue, and it's to give the floor to Alex to share to anyone who's listening how they could be a part of this community in the future if they wanted to enter and how that works. But then also to speak back to what else happens at the summit, those beautiful keynotes and the speakers we had a privilege to hear from, the social aspect and so on. So Alex, just if we've just landed from Mars, I always say to my team, speak to me like I'm a Martian. What's the summit all about, and how can we just sort of get more innovators to know about entering for it, really?
Well, thank you, Hanneke. And I just want to say, listening back to all of you reflect on Summit, our team here at HundrED is really small, and we spend so much of our time and effort making sure that Summit is a place where all of you innovators, especially as Cherrelle and I spoke to, it is lonely, and we want to make sure that this is a chance for you to understand, and not just you as somebody who is selected, but for everybody who is working to improve innovation, that you are the rock star, that what you are doing is changing lives, even if in the day-to-day, it feels like you're just chipping away at a rock wall. Every day what you're doing is impactful, and it's a moment to stop, to reflect, and to remember that what you do really matters. So for those of you who are listening and are interested maybe in coming to Summit, our invitations are sent mostly to innovations that are selected to the Global Collection. I will go ahead and say this now. Applications for the 2026 Global Collection are already open. You can go to HundrED.org and submit your innovation if you have one, and they will go to our academy for review. And what that means is hundreds of people from around the world will look at your idea and they will use our rubric to give it a rating of, is it going to make an impact on kids' lives? And is it going to be scalable to make more of a difference? So those are our two main criteria that we use. Now, if I'm thinking about how we plan Summit, we always try to bring a different focus in every year. Sometimes it's education in emergencies, sometimes it's weaving a future together. And then we think about what are the best people that we can bring together to have these conversations. This year, we were really lucky to do it as well in collaboration with Helsinki, which meant that we had this incredible opportunity to bring policymakers and decision makers from different European cities into the same room as our innovators and really make sure that we put our innovators on that stage as thought leaders, right? You all are the people who are making the solutions that are going to make a difference in the future. And they should be listening to you as much as we need to listen to the policymakers about where things are going. It's a conversation that we build together. We also think about who are the types of people that we can invite to share knowledge that you don't normally get to hear otherwise. And in fact, that's one of the things that puts HundrED apart from other organizations in my experience is we don't care where in the world you're from. We don't care how much money you have. We don't care if you can afford a fancy website or not. If your idea is good, then it deserves support and it deserves attention and it deserves the kind of investment in knowledge and community that a group like HundrED can provide. So these are all the things that we have juggling together in our head. But I think that what made this year's summit really different is a couple of months before we really started planning, I got an email from somebody I'd never talked to before. And that was Lindsay, just out of the blue. And she said, I have this crazy idea. Well, I can let you tell it yourself, Lindsay, but I just thought it was the best. And I think that that's what made the differences here. So Lindsay, why don't you talk a little bit about your role in bringing us all together in this?
That's amazing. I mean, I felt it too, but I wasn't sure if it was, well, I wrote to Alex and I said, what do you think about story? How do you think story could weave into HundrED? And I'm incredibly passionate about how storytelling can bring community together. And I, in my wee town in Hope, have done for the past 12 years. In fact, it was like our opening event at Sweet Tree. It was a very snowy night in March. And I thought no one would come out. I thought maybe if 10 people come, but the roads were all blocked. And I thought no one's going to come to our first Sweet Tree Arts event. 80 people packed our room, which is really big for a little town of less than 2,000 people. But they walked and they snowmobiled and they all came together for one another because I'd asked 5 key people in our community to tell their story. And so from the beginning, I've known that story brings people together. And I'm also, I have to admit, a little bit of a nerd about research and learning. And so I am doing my doctorate and exploring creativity and imagination. And storytelling is a very important element. It's foundational, I believe, to human connection. So knowing the impact that HundrED has to bring people together, I wanted to try to elevate that. So I simply said to Alex, let's see if we can have about 5 people tell their story, innovators, and see if we can begin the conference in that kind of electric connection place. And we did. So we did a little story slam. And the stories, as always, are incredible. And Annette told a beautiful story. You're left with these magical memories, right? I remember the image of you sitting under your table, wanting to make your nest and learn. And then Alex was brave and told this wonderful folk tale. It's just magic. But you're right in that I heard so many people, they would come up to me like, oh, Lindsay, help me tell my story. I'm on a panel. What should I say? Like last minute little coaching here and there. And even to hear one of the presenters just start and say, well, I've heard a lot of stories happening over the course of the week, so I better start with one. It was a really lovely, lovely thing to know that it did magically sort of spread over the course of the couple of days. I think that is the piece, is that humans naturally are wired to tell story and is all there. So that's what this podcast is about, isn't it?
We unofficially named ourselves the Connection Committee. And I think that just speaks back to what you're saying about storytelling and human connection. Both officially on the front end of the conference, there was a beautiful story being woven, everyone putting their dreams for education together. But in the back end, there was also stories being told, connections being made. But I guess like our connection and the friendship kind of speaks back to connection is something I took from the whole summit, that good education and good education solutions rest on a beautiful and a true connection between learners, between learner and pedagogue, between teachers, between community, that connection. And that's also what we want to bring out and celebrate here, is bringing more from the other innovators in and celebrate our connection and friendship and extend on that. I wonder if we wanted to maybe unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. So what can our listeners and viewers expect to come? Because we call this episode 0. We don't have any other guests except for us. This is the crew. But in next episodes, we will have conversations like these, but then we're going to put a spotlight on an innovator or somebody else who makes a really big difference in the world of education. Who wants to share a little bit more about that, like what people can expect?
So there's 100 every year, right? And then millions in the world. And part of the organization for 100 itself is that its purpose is to bring these innovators out into the world. I'm so excited to start to really exchange ideas. And we can't work in silos. We're not going to change the world if we don't work together. And so the idea here is to start with this year's collection, the current one of 100 innovators who are the most impactful, scalable, innovative education solutions for the world, and bring them here and really get curious about their solutions and how they do it, and then support one another and see what connections we can make. And every week we'll be talking to amazing new people.
I just wanted to bring into the room a friend of many of ours, Alex Bell, who is a bit of a 100 legend and likes to remind us that 100 is a family, and it's a very welcoming, warm family and place for people to come together. And I think that that's an important piece of the conversation. It's a very open, safe, lovely place for people to share their ideas. And I've always felt that. So I know that if I can feel that, then others tuning in and listening can also hopefully join our family.
I just want to add a little bit to it, which is there's, well, two parts there, right? The first is that, as you all have mentioned, this idea of collaborating, not working in silos, but also knowing that any innovation, if it is going to be moved to another place, to a new context, there's parts of it that will have to change. And so maybe when you are hearing these stories from these other innovators, you will understand ways in which you could adapt their innovation, or in which your own innovation, if you have one, might need to change to reach more people. The other thing is, we have our innovation summit in Helsinki, but not everybody is able to join us. And so we really hope that this too is a chance for us to hear from voices that weren't able to join us at the summit in person, and so that we can still grow and understand and know these people and know their stories as more than just what we see on their innovation pages or what we have in conversations with them online through email. We really want to dig deeper, learn more stories, and join together.
And I'd like to add to that then elevates the conversation and potentially shines a light on the support that education needs as a whole, governmental as well as policy, and just bringing the needs that education continues to need, support from community, to the forefront. One of my biggest passions and that I hold close to my heart is that I think education is in need of radical transformation, and that education is a little bit behind the rate of change in the rest of the world. So in our own small way, I really hope that this continues to lift the broader conversation for education at large and the transformation that has to occur there.
I love that, Hanneke. Yeah.
Because of my work currently in researching, one of the things that I absolutely couldn't believe was I had that distinct honor to give an award to Protsahan, which was one of the innovations that was selected as the most impactful work. And that was a really incredible honor for me to learn about the organization and then also kind of share out of a place of like authentic values and my own research. It just felt really, really meaningful. But more than meaning, what I found was in conversation with the founder, they had applied all the researchers in my literature review. Look, so here was this like incredible moment of knowing about the knowledge and knowing about the impact based on research, and then organizations putting them into action and then seeing the impact 10 years later. Like they're doing, the innovators who are in this group are doing what we know works. And to hear their story, they started with 19 young women, and now they're impacting 90,000 across India. It's incredible. I mean, so that's like what's really exciting and electric. And it gives hope, I hope, to others who are sharing their work, doing this important work in educational research, which is another important piece of HundrED. And really, that's amazing.
That is, yeah. So it starts with thoughts, with ideas inside your head, but we are here to encourage you to bring it out, let it out, share it with us, with HundrED, with other people.
The education space is not the most rock star space in the world. It's a hard grind. There isn't buckets of money available, and people really fight for their survival. To have a platform where people's innovations and ideas are celebrated is part of the beauty of HundrED.
So one of the things that we're really hoping to do is end every episode with the same question. And it's a question that we hope that you and the audience will think about too. And that is, what is your dream for the future of education? Since we'll be inviting guests in all the time, we won't really have the chance to answer it for ourselves. So I'd love to ask you all right now. Lindsay, what is your dream for the future of education?
My dream is to make education accessible for everyone. And equitable.
Beautiful. Hanneke?
My biggest dream for education is that its purpose aligns more with what the future has been asked of children. And so that we stop educating in a way that the industrial age fought for, and that the outcomes that we're aiming for and that we achieve successfully are those beautiful soft skills, human problems, innovative thinking, critical thinking, the ability to stand proudly as a human and communicate with confidence. That's what children need to leave school with, the human skills, that's the outcome.
How about for you, Cherrelle?
My dream for education is that we see education as something holistic, and we incorporate, like all of us here, we incorporate the arts, but we also incorporate well-being, STEM, everything to make, like you said, Hanneke, a well-rounded individual who's prepared for the world. And we don't see education just as knowledge, but something more well-rounded, and to make sure that every child realizes their full potential.
Yeah, beautiful. And Annette?
Agreed with all of you. But I think my dream, and if you have joined the Story Slam at the HundrED Summit, I shared my story, and that's where my dream started. As like an 8-year-old girl, I had this dream, this fire inside of me that every single person, child, adult, should feel seen and heard and loved. That is my dream for education. That is my dream for the world. We can be players in that. We can make that happen. And the magic of when that happens, when you see somebody feeling seen and heard and loved, and what that does to a person, that is like the start of learning. Always the start of growing is always feeling connected with yourself, and then being able to bring that connection you have with yourself into every other connection you make with anybody else and with anything else, with the world around you. Alex, we want to hear from you too.
My dream. So while I was teaching, I found my dream for the future of education, which is to know that there isn't just one way that you have to live your life, to know that you have options, to know that your background doesn't define who you will be, and to know that the world is full of possibilities for every child. That's my dream for the future.
The world is full of possibilities. Yes. Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. We can talk for hours. We can keep going on and on. But for today, this is it. Now you have an idea who we are. If you want to learn more about it, we will share our website so you can do your research and you can learn more about us. But this is not that much about us because we want to put spotlights on other innovators, and you'll hear about that in the next episode. So this was episode 0, and we are ready for episode 1, 2, 3, 4. We will see. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Let's stay connected. Bye.
Do you have an education innovation you want to share with the world? The call for the 2026 Global Collection is now open. Apply at HundrED.org.